unlike Lloyd Austin, right? We have Kristi Noem, who was an accomplished congresswoman and governor from a major state running Department of Homeland Security. You have Howard Lutnick, who's a very famous and well-known financial mind and titan from Wall Street running Cantor Fitzgerald. Marco Rubio, who was a very well-respected U.S. Senator on Foreign Affairs, who's now doing a great job as Secretary of State. So build out your argument why you think this cabinet is unqualified. Seems to me very, very qualified, actually, across the board.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to start with, I mean, this is the most obvious one, and I have many other examples that I'd like to get into, but Pete Hegseth, you mentioned, I think that is kind of, I don't really understand why you would mention somebody that leaked war chats to a liberal journalist. To me, that doesn't seem like the kind of person that I would want to be.
Well, hold on, time out. That he did not leak it. First of all,
he added the person.
The person who actually is responsible was just removed as national security advisor today.
Oh, you mean the person who was the fall guy for Pete Hegseth's problem?
No, he added somebody without his knowledge. But
okay, so why wouldn't he see him? Why wouldn't he see the person who's in the chat before talking about war policy?
So, time out. Just so we're clear, I'm sure you've been added to group chats with 30 or 40 people sometimes, and you enter in with trust that every acronym is actually a government official. Obviously, that will not happen again. Just so we're clear, Signal was an approved chat by the Biden administration. It's an approved secure channel by
I'm not talking shit on Signal.
However, time out. Let me ask a question about Pete Hegseth. Would you rather have a warfighter or a bureaucrat run the United States military?
I would rather have somebody that doesn't have a history of alcoholism. I'd rather have somebody that, I mean, realistically.
Wow. So do you think how about Mark Milley and Lloyd Austin? Were they better at running the U.S. military than Pete Hegseth?
I mean, I think you're going to probably start talking about how there's higher enlistment numbers.
Yeah, not only that. So recruitment in the military is up majorly. Thank you, Pete Hegseth. He's doing a pretty good job. Number two. Procurement, we're saving money. Estimates are that we'll save hundreds of billions of dollars in efficiency. War games are up. The amount of war games we're doing in the Southeast Pacific has increased by 30%. This is a military town here in San Diego. They have a massive increase in people wanting to join the Navy, want to join the military. That wasn't happening under Biden. Morale is actually 30 points higher now that Pete Hegseth, a warfighter's warfighter, is running the U.S. military.
We have a complete difference. We're never going to agree on this.
No, but not an agree, but then prove the evidence. What is one number that is worse with the U.S. military now that Pete Hegseth's in control?
The numbers that you're talking about are numbers that I actually actively do not care about, because I think that we have an overly powerful military, and I think too much of our money goes to the military.
No, I know, but tell me one thing he's done, numerically, empirically, judge his performance, right? What is one thing that you could say, wow, the Pentagon is in a worst place because of Pete Hegseth?
I would say his inconsistent foreign policy, where he backs on statements depending on whether or not Donald Trump has heard them or not. Like in the beginning, we were talking about what happened with Ukraine and Russia. Like they've had disagreements already within the first couple months of the administration.
What? But first of all, the president is the commander in chief, so he executes the running of the military.
I'm just saying that he's
the operationals manager. Right?
I understand that.
And so when you want a military, you have recruitment going up, you have war games going up, you have morale going up. You have, by the way, how about this? Do you agree that physical fitness standards for men and women should be the same in the U.S. military?
Yes.
Pete Hegseth is to thank for that. He has brought physical fitness standards to be the same for men and women. Lloyd Austin didn't do that. Mark Milley didn't do that. Do you also agree that we should not have transgender pronoun type policing of our military members on the front lines of combat?
See, the thing is
Pete Hegseth has gotten rid of all that. But I'm saying you're trying to make a contention that he's not qualified. Okay. The military is in a much better place thanks to him only after 100 days, man. And that's that is the weakest example of all the ones that you have in the cabinet. You didn't address Rubio. You didn't address Noem. You didn't address Bessent. You didn't address Lutnick. You didn't address Bobby Kennedy. You didn't address all these people. So I have to ask you a question.
I can continue addressing people.
But every one of these departments is in a substantially and an empirically better place than it was.
Okay, including the Department of Education that's been completely defunded, and somebody who literally
I'm so glad it's being defunded.
Okay, I bet you are. But guess what? Most Americans aren't. And that's the reality.
Wrong. Donald Trump.
Okay, yeah, just because you have a bunch of people here saying that doesn't mean that's the reality.
Let me prove it to you. Donald Trump ran on a pledge to get rid of the Department of Education. We can agree with that?
No,
yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. He won a popular vote. The vast majority of people voted knowing that the Department of Education was going to get eliminated.
If you truly believe that the vast majority of people were educated enough about the fact of Donald Trump's opinion,
voters aren't very smart. Now that's what we're going after.
No, I'm simply just responding to what you said. What you said
Insult
is
the voters. They don't know.
No, I know a lot of people that voted for Trump who had absolutely no idea that he was going to defund and of course, this is just an anecdote, but I know that this is the truth. Not everybody, when they vote, looks at every single little thing and every little aspect like you and I might of why we would vote for somebody. Like, we're both political commentators.
Right. Fine. And as a political commentator, then I will argue more forcefully against you, because now you're not just like a college kid searching for this. Has education in America improved or gotten worse since the Department of Education was formed?
It has literally been 3 months. I have absolutely no idea.
Since the Department of Education was formed in the 70s. We now have 50 years of evidence. Has American education gotten better since we've had a Department of Education, or has it gotten worse?
I personally don't think that has to do with the Department of Education.
Well, when you've spent over $4.5 trillion with one federal department, and we have 30 schools in Chicago where a fifth grader cannot read at grade level. We have 35 schools in Baltimore where kids cannot do math or reading at grade level. We cannot find a single school, not a single school in downtown Detroit, where by the time they graduate high school in the heavily black areas, that they're proficient in reading or math. We are now like 31st in the industrialized world of education. We spend more in education than almost any other country per capita, and yet our results are worse. Maybe it's because we sent all this money to DC to overly centralize the way we educate, and the Department of Education has been a complete disaster. And so we can go anywhere you want with this discussion.
I'm just going to say one more thing about this and we can move on. And thank you for talking to me for this long. I really appreciate it. But you're talking about like people that are coming from poor backgrounds where education in their families is not like a part of the way that they're raised. Of course, they're going to be the ones that have a lower.
No, that's not correct. You see,
I highly doubt it.
The competing Catholic schools in the same area that do it for 2/3 less money. Almost all the kids can read by the time they graduate middle school.
And where does that money come from?
Well, sometimes from charter schools, taxpayers, or from private donors. So take, for example, in downtown Chicago or downtown Philadelphia, the private Catholic school can educate a kid for around $12,000 a year. Philadelphia, it's about $30,000 a year, and none of the kids can read. So the local religious schools, they have kids that are less likely to be unruly, less likely to commit crimes. They're more likely to graduate high school and college. They can read and they could do math. And yet the local public school spends triple what the local Catholic school does, and they can't do any of that stuff. Why? Because a government-run program of education has been a failure in this country. And that's what President Trump is doing by abolishing the Department of Education.
Okay, so if there's no public, I'm not saying that the public education system is perfect. I'm saying that I think the privatization of public things in general is bad. And obviously that's a very...
Why would you say that? So, I mean that's just... we can go through the list of that, but...
Because getting rid of, for example, DEI, or getting rid of... And again, I'm not super pro DEI.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in California. I'll put it that way.
I'll try to apply it to where.
Okay, I grew up in one of the most expensive towns in California.
Okay, Montecito. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, something like that. I don't want to talk because I'm a political commentator. I'm not saying my name, but I will tell you.
Fine, but
that seeing that we had 82-inch TVs in my school for a public school when other kids in Compton had absolutely nothing, and I know a big part of that
why
is because
that? It's property taxes, right? And so yes. However, let's just get down to the core of it, which is that in San Diego, are the private schools or the public schools more desirable?
It's kind of complicated because we have charter schools that are public, like we have like High Tech High. We have
people pay money to go to private school, right? For a reason. So what is our perspective? The money should follow the child. You should have school choice. You should be able to go to whatever the school of your choosing, and it works super well.
But the good private schools that you talk about these ones in Chicago with cherry pick data. When we're talking about San Diego, they cost about $40,000 a year.
It's not cherry pick data.
It is cherry pick data. Talking about a single example of a Catholic school that's publicly funded or funded by donors.
There's hundreds of these examples.
Okay,
right?
Hundreds of these examples, but the reality is that the majority of them, you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money in order to get into them.
Right. So but then what per pupil in San Diego? What do you think they charge per student in the public school? Anywhere between $25,000 to $35,000.
I have no idea, and I don't think that it has anything to do with the debate we're having.
No, it has everything to do with it. And I'll just close with this. So there's 21 million people that work for the government in this country. 11 million education. 11 million in education. How many of the 11 million do you think are teachers?
I see. You're just coming up. Look,
No, it's super.
Can you repeat
This
your question? Because
no,
I thought
okay.
we were going to continue because we
There-
barely
and then-
talked about anything I want to talk about.
Well,
but
no, I mean we did freewheeling. That's what this is, right? So there's 11 million people that work in education in America. How many would you guess are teachers?
I'm assuming that it's very bloated, and I'm just going to guess that 2 million are teachers.
Yeah, it's about 2 to 3. It's like 3.5 to 4 million. So that means that 7 million people that work in education are unnecessary administrators and paper pushers. And why is that important? Because we've not been funding teachers or education the last 30 years. We've been funding unnecessarily bureaucracy in our education the last 30 or 40 years. And President Trump goes to abolish it. Thank you for your time. I got to get to the next question. Thank you. Hello.
Hi. My name's Ellie. Overall, just to go into my question, I am conservative. So going into this, I was like, oh, like what should I ask you about? I think overall, I was going through different policies, and in general, I agree. Ultimately, I think the topic of my question is how to approach politics in school and in general with this function. I've found that a lot of times when I talk to people who are on the other side of me, they are surprised to find out what I think, and my ideas are not that crazy. It's like when you actually get into the meat of it, it's like, oh, actually, maybe it does make sense. And so I think it's really valuable to start giving these ideas to the world. And so this is one of these options. But I guess my question is this the best way? Because when I hear, like, for example, on Reddit, they're like, don't approach him, don't do this, he's just doing that, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's using all these tactics. And so I wonder if you've considered, not to say that this is a bad way to go about it, but if there's maybe a slightly better way, because I think what you're saying has a lot of value in this world, but it's like in this school specifically, it is thought of as evil and as like not like a valid way to think.
That's a UC San Diego problem, not a Charlie Kirk problem,
no,
right?
and it's not, and it's not to say it's a problem of you. No.
And I mean, like, and I read there was some op-ed journalists where they said, ignore Charlie, ignore him. But what they're saying is that they are not either smart enough or they're not intellectually mature enough to have a discussion with a conservative on any issue. I have literally almost no notes. I have like a couple charts to show you if the topics come up. You guys can use AI, you guys can use Grok, you could do whatever you want. You could bring a professor, you could bring 5 of your top libs together, debate me, right?
Yeah.
Right, other side? Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you. And you guys can debate me at any time. I fail to understand why, well, actually, I know the reason. Speech is not a left-wing value. And they do not believe in freedom of speech. They believe in totalitarian control. There are exceptions to that. So if they have a problem, I think this is one of the best ways, not the best way. I literally could not be more open to disagreement. I say if you disagree, you go to the front of the line.
Yeah.
And I mean, how often do you as conservatives get a chance to challenge liberals on campus, right? And being welcomed ever?
Oh, absolutely, almost never. Definitely
because
not in
speech is
class.
not a left-wing value.
No, but to say that, I mean, with all of that being said, that is very true. But ultimately, what happens here is I see a lot of like the ideas just being like bubbled against. And so like when I talk to my friends, their ideas aren't changed from these conversations. And so I wonder if there's just like you
would be surprised. I'm sorry to interrupt. What happens here gets seen hundreds of millions of times on social
absolutely.
media.
Yes.
The crowds are growing. And so look, some people are going to remain closed-minded. They're not going to, have their horizons open, but that's on them, right? They have to actually want to pursue the truth and not just have their own worldview confirmed.
And then I guess that's where I disagree, because I think fundamentally there is truth within anything. And I believe that maybe I would ask you like to see that like you have a big role in this. You have a big fan base and a big media base that you are making incredible change. And to take it one step further would be really trying to push the narrative against this being like a place where people are just like debating. It's more than that.
What would you like to see?
I guess maybe it's more of a question. I guess, I don't know, moving forward, like trying to maybe to see that like instead of using these really fast tactics and to really like try to bring it down, not to say someone is, not to say that they're, no.
I disagree with all that. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking way too much about libs on Reddit. I care about normal people. So
no,
yeah.
I
mean, you did bring up Reddit. I'm sorry. You're like,
no, I guess that's true. No, and I guess
so
maybe
these people are not well socially adjusted, right? I talk to the 90% of the American people that actually want to make something of their life and have kids and
No, and I couldn't agree more with that stance. I guess maybe stepping away from Reddit, it's to me the people on this campus. This is a school I go to, and almost everyone I'm surrounded with has a completely different view from me. And
not everybody.
No, and this is but this the people here, to find them, it feels like you're sifting through a needle in a haystack.
You want a hat?
Sure.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Disagreements, come to the front of the line. Yes.
So I have a couple points that I want to talk about in illegal immigration. Is it okay if I say all of them with no interruption? Okay, cool. So first, illegal immigrants power our economy. They're 50% of U.S. farm workers, harvesting the food on our tables, and fill 70% of construction jobs in states like Texas. They pay $13 billion annually in taxes, including $2 billion to Social Security that they can't claim. Deporting them would slash agricultural output by $60 billion and raise food prices by 6%. Why gut our farms and wallets when these workers fuel our prosperity? That's my first point. Second point, they strengthen our communities with lower crime rates. So in Texas, undocumented immigrants have a 26% lower homicide conviction rates. So, which is 2.2 per 100,000 versus 3 for native-born citizens. Nationally, immigrants are incarcerated at half the rate of native-born, where it's 0.85% versus 1.71%. That's according to Bureau of Justice Statistics from 2019. So if safety is your goal, why deport people who make our streets safer? This is my third point. Mass deportation tears apart American families. Over 4.4 million U.S. citizens, children have an undocumented parent. And in Texas, 1 in 7 kids lives in a mixed status household. Okay, this is my fourth point. Deportation is a fiscal nightmare. Removing 11 million people would cost $315 to $400 billion. More than the entire Homeland Security budget, and shrink our GDP by 1.7 trillion over 10 years. And this is my last point. Our immigration system is broken, pushing people to cross illegally. Visa waits Mexicans can exceed 20 years, and the asylum blockage is 1.3 million cases, with hearings 4 to 6 years out. Okay.
You done?
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right. So without looking at the phone, look at me. What should the penalty be for breaking into America?
I think there should be a system where it's more merit-based. So if this person
penalty. So what is the penalty? So what should happen to you?
Felony. It's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor.
No, it is. That's not true. It's 8 U.S.C. 1312. You can look it up right now.
It's a felony if it's done twice. If you try to cross the border, that is correct.
That is not correct.
I googled it, dude.
To illegally go across the southern border with the well intent to come into harbor yourself into the interior of the United States, the violation of 8 U.S.C. 1312, which is a felony in the federal criminal code. Now, it can be enforced as a misdemeanor, or it can be upwards to 5 years in prison. Now, I want to know, since it's a felony, law in the books, 8 U.S.C. 1312, what should the penalty be?
Well, in my opinion, these kinds of laws are usually they're what do you call it? They're sorry. Usually the sorry. Wait, sorry. Can I check my phone real quick? I apologize. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
What should the penalty be for someone that breaks or comes into America illegally? What should the penalty be?
I think there should be a merit system where the people. Okay, the penalty. All right,
that's not the answer. It's a very simple moral and legal question.
Okay.
What should the penalty be if you come into America illegally?
Okay, so since it's a misdemeanor, not a felony, misdemeanors
I just told you it's not 8. You can look up on your chat GPT. What is 8 USC? Look up what is 8 USC 1312.
No, I know. I've already looked it up.
Yes,
when it's your second time crossing the border illegally, then it becomes a felony.
It can be, and it is enforced as a felony, and it usually is done as a misdemeanor citation because no one has the stones to do 20 million felony applications.
Okay.
So I just want to ask, what should the penalty be then for someone that comes into this country illegally?
Usually there's 3 ways that go about this when there's a penalty. There's either like a fine, or there's some kind of like public service that this person does, or you send them back. But
send them back. I agree. That's what we should do.
Okay. So this is interesting. So one of the statistics that I read said that illegal immigrants don't cause as much like they don't break the law as often as people who are native born.
Well, hold on,
that is statistic.
But
no time out.
But
dude.
every single one of them are criminals. They're all criminals.
Okay, sure. By law.
Well,
by law.
No,
No, by law, of course. Of course they are.
So if they commit less crime and they're all criminals, wait a second. By definition, they all have broken the law by being here, and they break the law every day by staying here, because you're actually not allowed to stay here either. Do you know that? So every day you're here, you're actually continually breaking the law. You can't break in or harbor. That's what the federal law says. So by breaking in, it's not just the only law they broke. Every second you remain here, you're also breaking the law. So that statistic is invalidated by just them breathing here. They're breaking the law.
No, of course not. Of course not. So of course it makes sense for them when they're here. They're breaking the law because they're illegal immigrants, obviously. But once they're of course. So once they are here, what kind of harm are they actually doing? When you look at the numbers, statistically,
a lot.
No, that's not true. Okay,
Black wages have gone down.
Okay, in Texas,
DUIs have gone up dramatically.
Try not to interrupt, bro.
Well, hold on. I'm interjecting, and I let you go uninterrupted with your whole soliloquy,
true,
right?
Yeah, thank you.
So let me ask you a question now.
Okay.
So if it is correct that illegal aliens commit less crimes, which of course it's not correct.
That is correct. Look it up. In Texas, they made a study in 2019. 26% are lower.
Any crime? It's just not correct. But I'm not going to debate that. I just proved it at its face because they commit a crime by being here every day. That is a crime.
Okay, once they are here, what kind of crimes are they committing? Which is
okay. Well,
they're 26%.
Do you know the name Laken Riley?
No, educate me.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Do you know? Wow. Do you know the name Rachel Morin?
No, I don't.
Wow.
Educate me. What
so
kind of...
Laken Riley was a girl at the University of Georgia.
Okay.
There was a peeping Tommy, illegal alien, that was deported 5 times prior, and Biden kept on letting him back in. He hunted her down, raped her, sodomized her, and murdered her on a hiking trail, University of Georgia.
Okay,
Rachel,
so one person doesn't represent all illegal immigrants.
Every person who is killed by an illegal alien is one that should not happen. Every single one.
Of course, and also the ones that are native born.
Everyone. And so that's the point, is that it's not a matter of the rate. The rate, even if I accept your premise, which is incorrect, the rate is irrelevant. The number is what's relevant. There should be 0 illegal aliens. There should be 0 Americans being killed by illegals.
So,
not to mention there's 6 other problems with the illegal aliens. They steal Social Security numbers. They depress wages. They are heavily involved.
True.
By the way, not to mention, a lot of people that cross on the southern border are also smuggling girls, weapons, and drugs alongside the southern border when they come. It's the largest slavery operation in American history that many illegal aliens help make possible on the southern border. And I guess the final question I'll have is, should a government serve its citizens first and foremost?
Yeah, of course. Well, okay, there's been many people who are like very political leaders who have said that this place is built off of immigrants.
Oh, is it? Wait, hold on. Let's think about that.
Sure.
First of all, it's legal, not illegal. But was America founded by immigrants or settlers?
Settlers.
That's not an immigrant.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not my point. My point is that
just
people
brought up the nation built by immigrants.
Yeah,
because
the political leaders have said that this place is built.
Yeah, and they're wrong.
They're wrong. Political leaders are wrong. George W. Bush is wrong. All these political leaders who have built America.
By the way, the first person to say that was.
How is that wrong? When illegal immigrants make. They grow the economy.
Okay,
statistically,
allow me to build it out for you.
Sure.
Immigrants have helped at times in American history, but we are first and foremost a nation founded by settlers. Immigrants come to a country already built. Settlers come to a barren place and build something new.
Right.
This land was barren when people came. In the 1840s gold rush, this was not an easy place to live.
Yeah.
California was not exactly industrialized. There was not immigrants coming west to California. Those were settlers building a new place around, Western values. Finally, I would just ask the question, do you see a moral distinction between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant?
Well, the argument is that they're cutting in line. Like, their argument is that they're cutting in line in the 20-year process that it would take for someone to cross illegally.
It's not 20, but yeah.
At most, it's 20. At most, it's 20. Right now, there's around like 1.2 million people who are currently waiting that would take 6 to 7 years for a hearing.
And by the way, no one has a right to come to this country, just to be clear.
Let me stay on track of what I was going to say. Okay, so people who come here, usually almost all the time when they come here, they benefit society. They benefit society. There's studies that have done this.
Not necessarily.
Okay, not necessarily, but overall in general.
But no,
when you look overall
I
in general,
fundamentally disagree with that.
You can't disagree with a fact.
Hold on. Do you think Elon Omar has enriched the United States of America?
I don't know who.
Do you think Rashida Tlaib?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I could go through person by person by person.
Sorry, I don't know these people. Are these people who have are illegal immigrants that have caused harm?
Yeah. Again, if you don't know, I don't mean to pick on you. It's fine.
Okay.
But I guess the final question is:
Sure.
do you have any concern that there are too many people coming into this country and we're a nation of strangers, not a nation of neighbors?
If the people who are coming are creating America, making it more growing, like the economy is growing, then what harm is that doing? Especially if the people who are coming
more than
are
an economy, though, aren't we? We're a culture. We're a language.
Yeah,
we're
of course.
people.
Okay, so let's talk about that front. When they come here, they don't have any kind of. They're not committing as more crimes than the people who are already here. That is a statistic.
We've already
done.
dispelled that, but
That is not. You can't
in
dispel
California,
a statistic.
let's
What are
take
you talking
California.
about?
You can't. Do you think there's anything wrong that a majority of young people in California speak Spanish, not English?
Is there? Wait, sorry. Can you see the?
Do you think there's anything wrong or troubling to the fact that a majority of people under the age of 30 here in the state speak Spanish, not English? Is there a problem with that?
Well, yeah. Everyone should be able to have a ability to communicate with the rest of the crowd. So I don't know what the big issue of that.
See, I think it's a huge problem when we have a nation where you can't communicate
Sure.
with your fellow
Okay.
neighbor.
Simple solution: teach them how to speak English. What is your
Yeah,
point?
and our schools don't do that actually. And also, have a better solution.
Yeah.
Don't import a bunch of people that don't speak English.
You mean importing people who actually grow the economy?
Well, but
who
again,
don't.
Reject.
What?
I reject your premise. And we
That's
are more
not
than
a premise. That's a study that's been done.
Do you know what a premise is? I don't actually care as much about economic growth because we're one nation under. We're one nation under GDP. We're not one nation under GDP. We're a nation under God.
Yeah.
And when we lose social cohesion, and you import a bunch of people that don't share our values, that don't necessarily always assimilate, that's a major and serious problem. And we are a people first and foremost with a creed, and that creed is falling apart. Mass migration has not helped that creed. Yes, they might buy more trinkets. They might help depress wages. Mass migration, of course, can help
all good things, all great things for America.
They help major corporations, but you know what they also do? They keep down the wages of working people. If you are a plumber, yes, of course. If you think about it, if you're a plumber, electrician, or a welder, and you have to compete against someone from Nicaragua who's willing to do it for $5 less an hour, that depresses the wages of the American citizen.
Right. Yeah. So there's been studies that have done that also counteract that. Illegal immigrants.
Well, let's use our reason. Let's use our reason.
Our studies.
Let's use our reason.
Statistics.
How about our reason? So we've had mass migration for 20 years. Have wages gone up?
I don't know.
No, they haven't actually.
Okay.
So forget your studies. For 10 years, we've had 30 million people come into America. Wages have gone down dramatically.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason why.
Okay.
So what I encourage you to do, just because there's a study that confirms, you should use your reason and look actually at self-evident truths. Be like, does that make sense? Can you name
statistics are self-evident?
Well, not always. Statistics are very misleading. Yes, like for example, I could say, did you know that 600 people a year die because of seatbelts? Well, that's a misleading statistic because over 100,000 lives are saved by seatbelts. That's an incomplete statistic.
Wait, okay, so so that's a gray area. So where's the gray area where people are talking about where 26% of illegal immigrants who come here commit less crimes than native born?
Okay, how many times have you been over this? That's just not correct.
Well, that is correct. That is correct.
Every single crime. It doesn't matter about the rate.
This is a study that was done in Texas, the most diverse, second most diverse state.
Every crime an illegal commits is one that should never have happened.
Okay.
It is a period.
Yeah, of course,
they should not be here. So I don't care about the rate. The rate is irrelevant. So let me just ask one final question.
The rate is relevant.
Someone broke into the country and cut in line. What should happen to them?
Well, they're given. Ideally, there's a system. That's merit-based, where these people then become part of the citizen. Like they become a legal citizen.
Yeah, I mean, we have clarity but not agreement. I say deport them all back to their country of origin and put Americans first.
That's not an appropriate solution.
Well, the American people voted for it, and it is appropriate.
It isn't appropriate because most of the people that do come here illegally contribute positively to society. Dude. Statistically, everything backs this.
You're not listening to anything I'm saying, and that's fine. They take jobs from Americans. They depress wages. They steal Social Security numbers. They commit a crime every single day that they're here. They flood our public schools. They flood our social services. They flood our hospitals. They are a burden on the taxpayer. They should go back and make their own country great again and apply and become a legal immigrant if they want to live here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next question, yeah. Hi. Wow, that's aggressive.
All right,
Okay, jeez.
perfect.
Get that guy a Valium or something. Xanax. Jeez.
We're good. All right. Good morning. So I am conservative, but there is one thing that I did want to debate you on. So you say that college is a scam and that so many students go hundreds of thousands